Hey baddies.
What's up, guys?
Our first episode is uploaded officially on YouTube, so go check it out. If you're seeing this, you've probably already checked it out.
Yeah.
Go give us follows, likes, leave us comments. We are on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. Go find our social media, interact with us. We are here today for episode 2. We are diving into owning a business with mental illness and some of the things that have kind of helped us and how we kind of got our diagnoses, how we got here, what we struggle with, how this affects us as a partnership, and how we navigate that as wives and business partners.
Yeah, so last time we kind of introduced ourselves and introduced our story. So now I'm going to introduce ourselves as a little bit of a different angle as far as our lovely diagnosis. So I'm someone that personally struggles a lot with depression, anxiety.
Before we dive too much into that, we want to disclose that we are not therapists, we are not psychs, we are not professionals. We cannot give you professional advice. We cannot diagnose you. We can simply be like your friends on the other side of a screen who kind of helped inspire you into your journey, or maybe this will just touch home and like make you want to begin your own mental health journey and kind of be that kickstart for you. So
and let you know that you're not alone. Many people struggle with all sorts of different things.
You are not alone. And it is more people struggle with mental health issues than they even care to admit. A lot of people suffer behind closed doors, and I firmly believe in healing out loud. So that's what we're here to promote. That's what we're here to help you with. Again, we are not professionals. Anything that you hear in this podcast is from personal experience, personal journeys, and our own growth. So we relinquish any responsibility for
sure.
anything, but if you feel like you need somebody to talk to, we are always
Absolutely. We're here to be your friends through social media and hopefully inspire you to go about your healing journey and heal out loud first and foremost, because it's always great to share your healing journey with others so they can be inspired as well.
100%. So now we can dive in a little bit to
Now we can dive into the full list of things, right? So so I'm someone that I am diagnosed with depression, anxiety, PTSD, and I have struggled a lot with addiction throughout my life and my career, which if you follow me on social media, you'll see some of my progress updates as far as me celebrating my sobriety dates. Thank you. Diving right into that, so being a tattoo artist, I have said for a very long time that art doesn't always come from a happy place. So sometimes, these things such as anxiety and depression, they can be kind of assets, and I don't mean that as like these are something that you try to invoke, because nobody wants to be fucking depressed, nobody wants to be anxious. Those are very uncomfortable states of being. But I've noticed for myself, especially in my depressive states, I've come up with some of the best artwork, right? So I actually have this really awesome painting that's on my social media. Go check it out. And it's actually, I titled it Hopeless because that's kind of how I was feeling at the time.
It's kind of far down there, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Maybe I will include a little link to that particular.
We can add a clip of it, in the middle of
there it is. But yeah, so this particular painting, it was a huge project. I was in a very depressed state, but when I'm in those states, it allows for a lot of creative freedom because I start to feel things very deeply, and then I want to express that in some form of art, and same with another painting that I did called Alone, which I'll plop that in there.
You're gonna like doing that.
And that's really what my anxiety feels like, right? So the Alone painting is very like cold, very wintry, because I feel my anxiety a lot in my chest, and it feels very cold, very icy, and it's a very uncomfortable feeling. So, first and foremost, I feel like mental illness does get a lot of a bad rap because it doesn't feel good, but sometimes it can help motivate you into doing some of the most creative art projects But that being said, you know, with depression especially, it's difficult to, at least for me, I don't know how it is for you, but it's difficult for me sometimes to feel motivated to get up and to just go to work and to talk to people.
100%. I even with my anxiety, because I am diagnosed with anxiety. That's my primary struggle. I have chronic anxiety, but I have also run through all of the tests for mania and bipolar and all of the fun little things because my emotions are very roller coaster style, and it's not as abrupt. I feel like a lot of people think of bipolar and mania and all of those very similar diagnoses to be like your emotions flip unexpectedly at the flip of a switch, and that's actually not how they are. So I've kind of ran through the motions of all those tests, and we kind of came back with it's just a mixture of my anxiety and my ADHD. So with my anxiety specifically, I definitely get like almost frozen, like stuck, and it's hard to move past that specific thing. Now, when the anxiety and the ADHD meet up, they're two hamsters in a spinning wheel that are going for two completely different goals, but they're carrying the same carriage. So that's where I start to get the depression. I start to get the mania, because if they're going the same direction, I'm on a fucking roll and manic as shit. But if they start to veer off in different directions, I feel like I can't complete anything and I get extremely depressed. So yes, when I'm in those bouts of my low lows, same thing where you just can't do anything. And there's nothing you can do. I mean, there are things that you can do for yourself. Professional help will be able to help set up a plan for you specifically if you feel like you struggle with these same things, where there are different ways to navigate those low lows and those high highs so that you can be more consistent, a little bit more leveled out, because even a high at some point you will crash. So just, yes. The long answer is yes, I do get in those same places where you just can't get up. You can't do anything, and it takes a hell of a lot of effort to remind yourself of those things that you learned, those tools in your toolbox, how to utilize them and when to utilize them to get yourself back up and moving.
Yeah, so when you get into those kind of low states, or when you have a lot of anxiety, you know, what does it look like for you behind closed doors as far as like owning a business and having to deal with customers? Because you do have to put on at least I put on quite a character face.
I feel like, so usually I am such a yapper. I'm a certified yapper. I get paid to talk, essentially. The lash extensions are just a bonus in your appointment. I get very silent because I can't pull myself out of my head. And that's one thing that I loved about owning a business versus when I was in the corporate world, is it was, oh, leave your problems at the door. And that is such a like corporate mindset of how to operate with your personal life, your personal feelings, your mental health issues, when in reality, you can't leave everything at the door. Okay. Yeah. I know I talked with many of my clients, many of my friends, my family, all of you guys that are close to me actually know, but I was really struggling with my mental health about 4-ish years ago at this point, because I had found out that my ex-wife was having an affair. And as much as I was trying to leave that at the door, all of my appointments were silent. I wasn't posting on social media as much. I was literally a shell of who I am as a human. I didn't have like literally no light in the eyes. You know, it was I was not here. And my clients recognized that. As much as like you want to say like behind closed doors, the people that are with you really know you, really care about you. They notice, okay? They will notice, because I had clients during that time bring me in like cards and gifts and things with little notes that would be like, I don't know what's exactly going on, but I can feel the energy difference. You are stronger than this. You are better than whatever you're struggling with. So just know you are loved and we are here for you. And I got a ton of that when I was going through the worst of it. And honestly, like when I came out of it is when I noticed how bad it was behind closed doors, because it's almost like you kind of put yourself on the other side of that door too. It's almost like you try and like pretend it's not happening. It's like, it's very easy to put the mask on and not be able to take the mask off.
Oh, yeah.
And just keep pushing. And as much as that's what, like, so many influencers and celebrities will tell you is, like, just keep pushing, just keep going. One thing that I learned in therapy that I know I've said to you is you take the leaves are your emotions, and you're standing on this bridge over this beautiful river, and it's a perfect little fall landscape, and you have these leaves in your hand. Those are your emotions. Feel them, look at them, embrace them, enjoy them, and then crumple them up, let them float on down into the river, and watch them go down the stream. Because at some point, yes, you do have to get up and you do have to move on, and you have to keep going. But you are allowed to take that time to feel those emotions and really, like, be with what's going on. So, yeah, like, behind closed doors, I feel like I'm just trying to push on through. I feel like I'm doing any little thing that I personally can that I have learned and that I have stored away in my toolbox to make myself feel better. I'm big into tarot card reading. I'm big into crystals. I love reading books. I am a big touch grass kind of person. Like, go outside, photosynthesize. There are not a whole lot of differences between us and plants. So drink some water and get your ass in the sun.
And I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum. When I get depressed and when I get hermitry, I'm a turtle who goes into her shell.
And she will watch the same TV show she has since we were children. She will be cuddled up with a teddy bear in the bed in the same
and everything
t-shirt,
sucks.
sweatpants.
I go from 0 to 100. The sky is falling. Everything sucks. I'm a shitty person. I'm a shitty artist. Blah blah blah. Like, it just internalizes and goes crash and burn. And it's really difficult for me to get out of it. But whereas my beautiful wife, said as far as, like, feeling your emotions, acknowledging them, and letting them go, I struggle a lot with that. I can appreciate that in theory. But, like, for me, using that same analogy, I'm looking at the leaves and I'm just staring at them, right? And I just keep fucking staring at them. And my issue, a lot of the times with things, is, like, I either just suppress or I hyperfixate. And I'm learning to try to find...
With Frankie, it is all or nothing.
Yes, and
every
I'm learning to find the happy medium with things, And as someone who is a tattoo artist, who I also have to be with people, and I don't talk as much as you do. I feel like with clients, because I usually put my headphones on, so I can kind of go into my own little shell in that respect. But obviously when you come in for your appointment, I'm, hi, how are you? I can put on that face, and I neglect the fact that I'm also a human, right? And that I'm also someone that experiences emotions, and that I'm allowed to have bad days, right? And I just immediately expect that people are going to judge me or, look down on me because maybe I'm not as peppy, you know what I'm saying? And, everybody's a human. Everybody experiences highs and lows. And, I'm learning to be a little bit more open with clients, because there's that human to human connection with it, And
a lot of people can relate. I couldn't believe how many people, after I started sharing what I was going through in my story, so many people were like, whether it was a husband, a wife, an ex-boyfriend, an ex-girlfriend, a parent, because I was going through shit with my own mom, I had lost my dad, like, there was a 5-year stretch of just bullshit. And as I really started to talk to people about those things, everybody has a story, everybody has a little bit of trauma, everybody, if you don't, like, you better go buy a fucking lottery ticket every time there's a new fucking lottery system. But, like, I couldn't believe the amount of people that I could relate to, and the people that it brought me that much closer to.
Well, and the connections and the support that come out of the woodworks.
Exactly. Yeah, the people that I didn't even realize I have such a similar story to, and that's something that I try and do with you, is be like, honey, like, think about this person, that person, this person, and how their story is so similar to you, and how... look where they're at, look how they got through it. And again, everybody's different in that aspect, because even you saying that, like, for you, like, I know you put your headphones on and you just kind of like hyper fixate and you're just fixated on your thing, but then you're also in your head, right?
Yeah.
For
and
me,
that's a scary place to be sometimes.
I was just gonna say, for me, that makes it worse because I know I can spiral. I would rather, and now especially because I am such a heal out loud, like, and I got that mentality because I saw a quote when I was going through my healing that literally said, we almost lost you suffering in silence, so please heal out loud as you need to. And so now, even if it's just some dumb little thing, like something stupid, whether it's business related, something at the apartment, like it literally could be like such a first world problem, I will talk about that in that day with all of my clients, because then like it makes me feel better. You're decompressing, you're getting it off your chest, and also there are gonna be people that are like, oh girl, when that happened to me, I did ABC. It's gonna give you a different insight as well. It's almost like using Google, okay, but they're real people in front of you with their experience. And if they're your clients or your friends or your family, they're probably people that you trust and you can have a connection with
and
already.
Not a lot of people, I feel like, really judge as much as we think that they'll do, right? So I remember one particular instance.
If they're judging you, they really don't know you and they don't care about you. Because it's going to be the random motherfuckers that got something to say about the shit that you're going through or you're experiencing, or the people that actually care about you, you're going to be like, thank you for sharing that with me. And then they're going to give their input, right?
Yeah. And like I said, I remember one particular instance. I was really going through the thick of it, and I was late for my appointment. My client was already waiting for me, so I'm setting up. And as I'm setting, this is someone I've tattooed multiple times, and as I'm setting up, I for some reason just started trauma dumping on this guy, right? And like I had tattooed him for a couple of years, and as I'm setting up, he kind of interrupts me, and he looks at me and he's like, Frankie, are you okay? And I stopped and I was like, no, I'm not. And I just broke down and started crying. And in any normal situation, I would have been very embarrassed. But he literally just like grabbed my little face and was like, you're okay, you're safe, I love you, let's talk about this. And we literally took 15 minutes to just kind of sit with each other, human to human, right before his tattoo appointment. So shout out Nathan for that, because that really meant a lot to me. And I'm finding, especially in a career where you're dealing with people, nobody's gonna judge you, right? I feel like the most judgment is the fucking keyboard warriors on social media, because when you're in person with someone and you can feel their energy, you can feel their heart, nobody's gonna sit there and be like, wow, this bitch.
Well, in the industries that we are in, because I kind of umbrella like our industries under like that same beauty and health and wellness, not health, but beauty and like wellness, self-care kind of umbrella. People trauma dump on us all day.
Oh yeah.
So when we turn around and we give them a little bit of our life, it just makes them that much more comfortable to talk to us.
Right.
And it makes us feel more we're literally building relationships.
Right.
I say all the time, because I sell eyelash extension products here in my salon. When people see the shelf in the hallway and they're like, so you sell to your competition? I'm like, there is no competition, because my clients don't just come to me for my skill, my 13 certificates. They don't come to me because I have the best product. Yeah, they come to me for all that shit, but they really come to me because we're like this. I know their son's name. I know their daughter-in-law's name. I knew when their first grandbaby was born. I know, like, I've been through it with them and they've been through it with me. So that's a big thing. I've had clients who will be trauma dumping on me, and then it turns into like me relating to them, and then they stay 2 hours. If they're my last client, I've had clients stay 2 hours past their appointment if they're my last client. We're just talking, just yapping, because you have somebody to relate to. And also, it's a third party. They don't know nobody you know. You don't know nobody they know. So you guys can just go back and forth in circles, and then you can leave. It's like a therapy appointment. That's why I always joke with my clients. I'm like, gosh, I should go back to school for therapy so I can double my prices. You guys can pay me through insurance instead. Like, it would be much better this way. But no, like, I really think that we have been set up via society, and I don't even know how we got to this point, because so many people struggle with the same things. We all understand each other, we all trust each other, and we can all relate. So really, it's the people, like I said, that don't know you and don't really care about you that are going to be the first ones to judge, right? Like,
And I feel like it's the lie of social media that brought us here, right? Because you go on social media, everyone's
100%.
happy, everyone's perfect, everyone's fucking making millions of dollars, you know what I mean? They don't showcase the struggle. They don't showcase the sadness and the grief that everybody feels. But we as human beings are naturally wired for connection.
Yes.
Right? So I feel like that's why in person, you know, because I've been tattooing people, someone I just met, and they'll tell me their whole life story, and then all of a sudden I'm telling them about shit that I went through as a kid, and I'm like, hello, I just met you, right? But you establish this connection and this bond in real life situations, and I feel like I said, like, it all is just the lie of social media. Because when you go and you see someone who's, you know, their teeth are perfectly white and their kids are awesome, that's a fucking lie. Their kids are probably little shits behind closed doors behind those pictures.
They have veneers.
It's most of the things that we see on social media isn't 100% true. It's not 100% accurate. It's the highlights of people's life, right? And that's why we kind of are doing this podcast right now, because
I was just gonna say that.
Because we want to keep it as real as possible, you know, because even in, you know, especially in industries like ours where you do kind of see, you know, us being, hi, how are you? You know, we definitely have those days more often than not, you know, at least for me, because, you know, when I was struggling with my addiction and when I was newly sober, I was very much putting on that happy face and being like, yep, hi, I'm so excited to see you. Meanwhile, I'm like, I have a meeting at 6 o'clock tonight where I'm going to fucking talk about this shit. But, you know, the older that I get and the more into this the more healed I become, the more I'm open to talking about these things, because so many people experience the exact same thing that I'm going through, and we find this community together, and that's what's really beautiful, and that's what I feel like makes life actually worth it. It's not the fucking highlight reel, right? It's not the fucking perfect life that people are advertising. It's finding connection through things that are struggles, because that's where you can actually develop this love and this connection and that's where life becomes its most beautiful and its most precious, is when we all come together in times of struggle.
Well, and you were just sitting right next to me when I had a falling out with a long-term friend, mm-hmm. and I was like, you know, at the end of the day, it's not the people that are there with you on your high highs, it's the people that are there with you through your low lows, because it's really easy to be there with somebody when they're doing their best, when they open their business, they're making a lot of money, they're running around, they're traveling, they're getting married, mm-hmm. they're having all these good things. But when your friend is struggling, are you there for them? When your friend falls on hard times, or they have a death in the family, they go through a breakup, they have to move out of town, all these negative things that happen, because such is life, are you there for your friends? Are your friends there for you? Same with family, right? We also get this idea that, like, oh, our family is going to be there for us over anybody.
Nope.
False. Nope. False as fuck. So, no, you literally just experienced this with me a few months ago, and I literally said, I was like, you know what? At the end of the day, that person wasn't there for me when I really needed them in my lowest lows, and I was actually going through a low at that time because of all the traumaversaries that were coming up around that time of year, and if that person doesn't want to be there for me in my lows, that's fine, because they don't get to be with me when I come out of this. They don't get to see where we're going to be at the end of 2026. Mm-hmm. They don't get to see what we're going to make happen this year, next year. They're not going to be there when we have kids. That's on you. That was your decision to not be. And I tell her that all the time, too, because she has a lot of people that in her healing journey after moving here have had to kind of just get blocked, cut mm-hmm. off. You got to go. Yeah. And they're only going to see you through the screen.
Well, and
that's their problem, because they decided they didn't want to be there for you in your low lows. They didn't want to support you and hold your hand and try and make you feel better, make you be better.
Right. Well, they negate the fact that I'm a human, right? So I feel like, especially at least with my experience with family and some close friends, right? They want to be around you when you have something to offer, and when you're full and you can pour into them in ways that benefit them. But then when your cup runneth dry and you need them to reciprocate, that's when all of a sudden it's, oh, sorry, can't make it, or oh, you reach out less. And a hard lesson I've had to learn is, blood's not thicker than water, right? Because it really depends on who's gonna be there for you, who's gonna answer the fucking phone when I when there's no meetings around me and my sobriety's on the line or I'm depressed, who can I call that's actually going to answer the phone and sit with me for an hour and talk to me, right? With nothing that I can give in return. You're not going to get a tattoo out of it because maybe I'm not going to work for the next couple of days because I need to chill. Maybe in my worst case, when I had to go into rehab, right? Like, who's going to actually sit there and answer the phone, And unfortunately, a lot of people, they see the highlight reel on social media, and then when it hits that that's not the case, then it's like, well, you can't give me anything, so I don't want to invest in you.
That is the worst part about owning a business is everybody that is close to you. Let me back up. Not everybody. About 80% of the people that were in your life before you opened a business suddenly think that they get the free stuff, they get a discount, family and friends.
They got their hand out.
You were already going to go get your hair done, your lashes done, a tattoo from somebody else before. You were already getting those services before I opened a business. You were paying them full price.
Yeah.
But now that it's me, you want a discount.
Yeah.
Shouldn't you be that much more willing to support your friend, your family, your spouse, whoever, without the discount? Shouldn't you be sharing everything they post, commenting, giving them those engagements online, but then also supporting the business in full? Also, do we forget that the people that own the business and provide those services, this is their livelihood? I didn't do this because I was like, that would be really fun. I mean, I did, and it is fun. But I did this because I was like, I can make money off of this while having fun and not answering to anybody else.
I think going with that too is, being the person who's on the other side of the business, right? It almost turns into a transaction for love and approval and friendship and family, where it's like, oh, well, you are only coming around when I can provide you something, so now I feel like I have to purchase your love and purchase your friendship and purchase your time. And, that really, at least for me, impacted my self-value and my self-worth when I felt like people were only coming around if I could offer them something, because then that just instills that enough is never going to be enough. You know what I mean? Where I am trying to do as much as I can and I'm giving 110%, but now so-and-so didn't invite me to Christmas, or I wasn't invited to this because I said, I'm sorry, I can't come in on my day off and tattoo you, or I'm sorry, your tattoo is going to be this amount. And they're like, well, what do you mean you're going to make me pay for a tattoo? We're family, aren't we? Family helps family. And it's like, well, yes, but you should also have the respect for me as a person, me as a business owner, and really just the respect for my livelihood, right? To want to help and contribute in that aspect, right? And I feel like that almost goes into a little bit of imposter syndrome for me, where, it kind of added some trauma in my life, where it's like, now it's like, okay, well, I do a tattoo and I'm like, cool, it looks great. And I stare at it for 5 more seconds and I'm like, no, I hate it. I mean,
gosh, girls, we've all done that with our selfies. We take 15 selfies after we're done getting ready, and then every single one of them is trash. A couple days later, you look at them all and you're like, these are all gorgeous. What the fuck was I thinking? Because you hyperfixate. And that imposter syndrome, I'm so glad that you brought that up, because I have seen that get said so many times by the people that I follow and I look up to in my industry, or in industries that are under this umbrella, that they talk about how they kept going because what they were doing was never enough. Meanwhile, they have hundreds of thousands of girls, guys, they, thems, watching, going, oh my fucking God, how did you do that? This is amazing. This is immaculate. You're my hero. And in their head, they're like, this isn't enough. What's the next best thing? And I know that we both do that.
Absolutely.
We both are definitely like, okay, we did that. Cool. What's next?
Yeah.
We are constantly doing that. Like, we have so many things on the back burner right now, and this is our second podcast episode.
Yeah.
Like, I had people swiping up when we posted that we were starting a podcast that were like, that is so cool. How'd you guys do it? Tell me how you're doing it. What are all the things? I'm so excited for you. This is so cool. I've always wanted to do a podcast. And we were like, yay, great, thank you. Okay, this is what we need to do next. What are we planning for next? What's the next move? Like, we have so many things already coming up next. And we just started this because it always feels like what I'm currently doing isn't enough. And much to your part, and I'll pass this back to you, it stems from trauma. It
really
comes
does.
from a place of somebody, multiple somebodies, making you feel like you as yourself is not enough at this table.
Yeah, your value is dependent on what you can offer others. And I think that for me too, it also goes into that addict state of mind, right? Because I'm constantly, being an addict and being someone who struggles with addiction, you're constantly looking for the next thing. You know, you could have your drug of choice in hand, or you could have a bottle in hand, whatever it is that you struggle with, and immediately you're still thinking about, well, where can I get it next? Where can I get, what's next? You know, one is too many and 1,000 is never enough. Right?
And I think it comes into like that addiction to the success. Like when you opened your business, when you graduated school, when you did that first tattoo, when I did that first set of lashes, it was like, oh my God, that's so great. Like people are so excited for you.
That dopamine high.
Yes, that when that fades off and the grand opening has ceased, the next weekend comes around, like the next post isn't getting as many likes as the first post did about the first set. It's because you're like, all right, I need to do better than this so that I can get that high again. It's a high of success. And that's, you're just constantly chasing that next best thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I feel like when you are so focused on what's next and where can I improve and all of these things, you miss the present moment and you miss the small successes that got you here. And not only that, but you know, I feel like, I mean, and I know that you've said this to me before, because I have we all have goals, right? And I have fitness goals. And, you know, one thing that she said to me is, Frankie, enough is never going to be enough until you love yourself. Because until you love yourself, you're always going to be like, well, I could do this better, I could do that better, I could da-da-da. You know, and it goes into self-love, self-respect, and then you can self-validate, right? Because, and that's another thing that I feel like this imposter syndrome is really difficult, because I feel like because of social media and because of the likes and because of all these different things, we are very much a society based on external validation as opposed 100%. To internal validation, which is something that I've been open about how I struggle with, you know, with that internal validation, because we're constantly looking for that engagement and constantly looking for that reassurance that we're valuable as human beings. And this is something that's kind of a new phenomenon, I feel like, as far as, you know, society as a whole, because social media hasn't been around for that long. And I feel like that's why you can look at like your parents or your grandparents, and they have this very, you can almost see it in their chest, and
they're like carefree.
They hold themselves. They're carefree, and they're also, I feel like, more confident, even when they're fucking assholes of people. Yes. They're just more confident. They're like, I am who I am, and if you don't like it, then that sucks for you, Gen Z.
And I feel like we always try to be that, but then again, like, we get so wrapped up in everybody else around us.
Yeah.
The keeping up with the Joneses, the external validation. Do other people like the way that my life looks?
Right. As if we're, you know, being constantly analyzed and scrutinized. But we grew up with social media, so we grew up in front of an audience, right? And so we're constantly
100%.
trying to tailor to this audience who really doesn't give a shit. You know what I mean? Like, nobody actually really cares that much. The only person whose opinion should matter is yourself. And how you view yourself. And until you can view yourself as beautiful, as confident, as amazing, as talented, no one else is going to be able to give you the validation that you're looking for, because what you're looking for is that sense of self, right? Yeah. So I feel like that's a really big thing with mental illness as well. You know what I mean? And because not just with imposter syndrome, but when you're depressed or when you're anxious, you know what I mean? At least for me, right? Because when I'm depressed, I want someone to sit there and be like, you have every right to be depressed. You have a right to be depressed about this. I want someone to sit there and validate the fact that it's okay to feel these feelings, because I feel guilty being depressed, because I'm like, well, I have this reputation to uphold. I should be this awesome tattoo artist. I should be this. I should be that. But the should be's is just that extra shovel that's digging you even deeper in there.
100%. And I know that's one thing that, like, you as a partner need to be looking for in other people. I know we talked about in our previous episode being equally yoked. You need a partner that's going to step up to the plate and be like, your emotions are valid. You are allowed to have these days, right? And not that that's like being equally yoked, but that's equally as supportive, equally as understanding. I know we do that to each other. That's the first thing we'll do. Even if we're having like an argument, it'll be like, I understand what's going on.
Yeah.
I validate your emotions right now. I would like to explain where my point of view is, what my emotions are doing right now based on this situation. Like, it is very, and they say that in therapy, in self-help books, in couples counseling, etc., where it's, don't be like, you feel this way, you're doing this, it's I. And so when your partner is struggling, or you are struggling, you want your partner to be very understanding and validating that it's okay to feel what you're feeling. How can I help you? If you don't know how to help yourself right now, can I offer some suggestions? And that's something that we've really had to work on as a couple, is not just, especially me, I am such a fixer, and being like, okay, this is what we're gonna do, we're gonna do this, and she's like, I just need to lay here. And I'm like, that's fine, you can lay here, but then we're gonna go do da-da-da-da, you know what I mean? But I've had to really learn that we're two different people, and we do have to meet in the middle, as far as, even when she wants to hide away in her room and watch her episodes and do whatever, that's all fine and dandy. But if you've been doing that all day, when I get home, I'm going to give you a really big hug. I'm going to bring you a glass of water. We're going to go photosynthesize. We can go to the bookstore. We're going to go to the bookstore. Let's go pick up some dinner and just hang out at a friend's house. You know, like, let's do something that's either going to help you physically, mentally, emotionally, or surround you with that support system.
Absolutely.
Because again, that's looking at the leaves, that's crumpling them up, letting them float, and then watching them go away. Because if you sit, I used this analogy with you last time you were really struggling, was you can sit at the bottom of the well, but at some point, the longer you sit at the well, you're gonna get further down into the well, and it's gonna be even harder to get out.
Right.
So sit there, feel those emotions, but also don't just feel them, process them.
Yeah.
Where are they coming from? Why am I feeling anxious, depressed, manic? What are the disassociative? Where is this coming from? And how can I proceed to not only feel better and do better right now, but to do better next time? What are the facts right now? One thing that you just actually picked up from ChatGPT of all places was, I'm not in danger, I'm just feeling anxious.
Yeah.
And that was something that's really helped you over the last, even just the last couple of weeks, in regards to random shit that comes up that makes you anxious.
Yeah, because a lot of my triggers make me feel like a deer in headlights almost, where it's like I become stunned, where I'm anxious or I'm depressed or I'm whatever, and I don't know where these things came from, I don't know where I'm going with them, I'm just like, I'm overwhelmed and I'm just frazzled, you know, and your nervous system almost takes over, and you know, in those moments, analyzing what's going on, how you got here, those are going to be steps to answer your own questions of how to get out of it, right? Because when you're, even if you're just feeling icky, identifying what these emotions are. So like, get out a piece of paper, write down just like 3 things of how you're feeling. I'm feeling icky. What does icky mean, right? I'm feeling depressed. What does depressed mean? Does it mean that you're sad? Does it mean that you have no energy? Does it mean that you feel antisocial? Like, what exactly, like, really identify these things. And then on a separate chart, write, like, how you got here. Did something happen to make you feel this way? You had problems with your family, which is a big trigger for you, which I know is a big trigger for me with my addiction.
Is it that time of year?
Yeah, is it a trauma-versary? Or is it even as simple as the weather? Because so many people in the Midwest get seasonal depression because we don't see the fucking sun for 3 months at a time, you know. So like, what do you feel? How did we get here? And then looking at those things, I just identifying them is kind of the key to getting out of them, because you're like, oh, okay, I'm feeling low energy because I have seasonal depression. Maybe I'll go outside. Maybe I'll go to, what do you call that thing at the zoo where there's all those plants? You know what I'm saying? Just go.
Oh, like an arboretum.
Like, yeah, like go fucking touch an exotic tree. You know, like, identify what you're feeling, analyze how you got there, and then how you can get out of it will literally reveal itself, because it's not as hard to get out of these things as it feels like it is. And I want to validate how hard if you're watching this right now and you are in one of those funks of whatever it is that you may be feeling, it's not as hard as you think that it is to get out of it. It feels like it's the size of the moon.
It does. In that moment, it feels impossible. On the other side of it, you're like, that really wasn't as brutal as I thought it was. But that's where having tools in your toolkit. And sometimes that's a Google search because you have no tools in your toolkit yet. Sometimes that's calling your therapist for an emergency situation. Maybe you need to set up having a therapist or a psychiatrist. And I don't want to, I don't give a shit what you want to do. Maybe you need to be on medication. Maybe medication isn't for you. That's totally your prerogative between you and your medical professional as well. Having your friends that you can call and reach out to. And it sounds so cliche, but like journaling.
Yes.
Having some sort of higher power that you can rely in and have faith in, whether that's God, whether that's a universe.
It could be a rock.
I don't care.
Like someone that you can,
whatever it is.
Yeah, someone that you can confide. I mean, if you don't have a strong support system, which for a very long time I didn't have a whole lot of friends. I didn't have a close family. So if you don't have those things, treat yourself like a friend, right? So if a friend came to you and said these things, I'm feeling anxious, I'm feeling depressed, I don't feel good about myself, what would you say to that friend? Right? Would you tell that friend, well, you're beautiful, do a face mask. You're feeling scared, let's let's cuddle and watch a movie. Like, how would you treat your friend if they were going through the exact same thing that you were going through?
And if you don't have friends and you don't know how that situation would go, because I'm still teaching her how to treat friends sometimes, is Google it. Literally look up, my friend just came to me, they are depressed. How do I help them? Look at it from an outsider's perspective rather than trying to help yourself. Act as if you're helping someone else. That, for me, I know is a big thing, is I am way better about validating someone else and helping someone else and giving other people advice. When it comes to my own shit, I'm like, I can't listen to my own advice. Why would I do that?
Yeah. For sure.
So I definitely recommend, as much as it seems like cliche, to try spending time outside, journaling, confiding in a close friend. Cliche things like that work for a reason. They're a cliche because they have worked for so many people in so many various situations and emotional states.
Yeah.
I know you journal.
Oh yeah, I have so many journals. I look like I'm the dude from that movie Seven. Okay, like I got stacks of journals.
She does. She has so many.
If you haven't seen that movie, it's a great movie.
I haven't seen it. That's why I was like. Let me look at our notes and see. I feel like we did really good, and we just kind of cruised right through all of the things that we wanted to get into. Oh, the only things we haven't really touched is, as far as us being partners, we touched a little bit, just a little sprinkle in there. Us being in a relationship, and we kind of talked about how like we help each other and how we validate each other and how we navigate through that. How do you feel like I don't know how to phrase it, but like how do you feel like our mental health and our mental illnesses have made us stronger? How do you feel like combating these things together as a partnership, as business owners, as wives, we're best friends? How do you feel like going through all those motions together makes us stronger together?
Yeah, so I feel like it promotes intimacy. And I'm not talking about sexual, I'm talking about that connection, that deep soul connection with each other. Because when we go through these bouts of mental illness or anything of the sort, when we're both dealing with trauma, etc., it allows us to really see the other person's soul in a way that's so vulnerable that not a lot of people can. And it builds our connection in that way, and it almost gives, I feel like, a respect is the wrong word, but a new appreciation for the other person, because, we can kind of see like, wow, like I said, it gives that sense of vulnerability and almost like, that I love you even more because you're sharing with me this vulnerable state of being.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I need to stop letting you talk first because you're literally an artist and a poet, so you always have better ways to word these things. Even for our wedding, I was like, ooh, like, your vows are going to be way better than mine, and that made me, like, procrastinate doing my own vows because I was like, her vows are going to be so much better than mine. No, I totally agree. I feel like it gives us, but in the same sense, like, I feel like the more that you are vulnerable with me and let me in, and the more that you open those doors and we kind of navigate through those things together, and you don't feel like you're so alone in your journey of healing and mental health exploration, I feel like it does give me a newfound respect for you because I see what you've gone through and where you're at, and I can not only meet you there, but I feel like I can respect that and then also give the same energy, because I am big in like, I only give out what I get back. And
that's
so
a Libra. Balance.
Sometimes I have to put myself in check though, because I do like to just shower my people and give my people way more than sometimes I get in return. That's for another podcast. I just feel like when you are open and vulnerable with me, I can respect it, I can appreciate it, I can match it. And I feel like that's where we get better, is I can't expect you to be open and honest and vulnerable with me if I'm not doing the same in return. And I know that's something that we even say to each other, like, well, it'll really help me right now if you tell me what you're feeling, what you're thinking, what you're going through, especially if we're both going through bad shit at the same time. Because you are not always going to be, one of you's really happy and one of you's having a low. You're not always both going to be, there might be times where you're both at a high, but there's going to be times where you're both at a low, and you have to meet each other in the middle and take a little bit of time to cuddle on the couch and watch a movie and just kind of eat some brownies and veg out. You're also going to have to, at some point, get up, fold the blankets together, clean the dishes together, and go do grocery shopping together. You know what I mean? Like, you kind of have to go through the sludge together to get to the pretty little island together. Otherwise, one of you is going to get left in the dust, and that's not good for you as individuals. That's also not good for you as a partnership. However, if your partner is being resistant to wanting help, to wanting to move forward, and this goes back to our podcast we talked about last week, where if your partner is not providing that same energy as you, at some point, yes, you do need to make sure that you take care of yourself to get to the pretty island and get to the other side of this bullshit.
Yes.
Seriously, because you can't help other people if your cup is completely empty, right? Like, that's where I'm saying, like, when her and I are both in it and we both have an empty cup, if you pour a little into me and I pour a little into you, we're going to have a little bit. And then we pour a little bit more, we're going to have a little bit more. Then we pour a little bit more. Like, we're going to be able to almost feed into each other to feed off of each other.
Yes.
So if your partner and you can stay ebbing and flowing, perfect. If you feel like you have to drag your partner through the sludge, you're only going to wind up getting them to the pretty little island, and you have a mask of being on that pretty island, where realistically you're still back in the sludge. Because you didn't take any time for yourself, your partner didn't take any time for you. And I think that us going through these things together really makes us stronger, because of, like we said in our last podcast, we talked a lot about ourselves in our last podcast, about how our relationship works. And I just feel like because of how we communicate and the respect we have for each other, it just makes it that much smoother to try and like navigate through these things. And mind you, we're not perfect. We know we're not perfect. We know our relationship isn't perfect. We're working on a lot of things.
Very close to perfect.
This is our first healthy relationship together. So we're trying to navigate how to do all of these things without letting our past relationships come forward and be present in our fight or flight, in how we shut down, block each other out, things like that. So it is a journey that you have to go on together to make it together. And I feel like that's like you said it best. I have a newfound appreciation for you because of the vulnerability that you express when it comes to these things.
Yeah, so, I mean, moral of the story, I feel like you have to be able to be vulnerable with your partner. If you don't feel as though you can be vulnerable and talk to your partner, and you don't feel like they're a good support, and you feel like you're pushing them towards a pretty island and you're back in the sludge, red flag, my friend.
Same with your friendships, though, and your familial relationships. You can't be the person that is always constantly positive, always the person that is pulling everybody out. You can't be the person driving the boat while you just have a bunch of people filling into the boat, because at some point you're going to get tired and you need somebody else to drive the boat. If nobody else is stepping up to the plate to help you move things along, the entire boat will sink.
You can't be that perfect person on social media with your veneers and great smile. You know, you have to be a real life human being, and you have to surround yourself with people who allow you to be that real life human being.
That part. You have to. But I mean, I genuinely no longer accept people that I can't talk to when I'm struggling. Absolutely. If I feel like I have to be a different version of myself in front of you, it's completely different when it comes to like the business. But as far as my support system goes, if I can't call you in the worst of the worst and you help me through that,
you can't call them through the best of the best either, because then what the fuck, you know what I mean? Like, you can't just have someone who's around just for the good times. You have to have them through the bad.
I think I had given you an analogy at one point, especially when you were really going through it in the beginning of your sobriety journey and everything. If they weren't there on the tour bus or helping you set up for the show, why do they get a front row seat and a backstage pass?
Yeah.
They don't get that. Okay? If you're not going to be there in the setup, the prep, the hard times, the struggles, you don't get to, what is it? You don't get to
reap the benefits.
The fruits of my labor.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Absolutely.
Yeah, so, I mean, again, we're not professionals. We're just giving you a little bit of insight from our perspective of where we got our mental illness from and how we kind of navigate that, as partners. We're trying to keep this episode a little shorter than the last one because it was really freaking long the first time because we have a lot to talk about, and that's why we started a podcast, is because we have a lot of life experiences, and I feel like we just want to try and help people in the best that we can. That's something that we really have talked about as a couple, is our stories deserve to be shared, not for us, but for other people that have been through it to relate to and helping other people. So that's kind of where the podcast is, because this is one of those ways that we feel like we can do that. So, but we're also still trying to keep it short so that you guys don't feel like you're spending your whole day with two lesbians. Absolutely. So we cannot give professional advice, but we are happy to be your friends via social media or from behind a screen, sending you our best recommendations for what your next steps should be to get through whatever those struggles are, whatever those low lows are. And if you need somebody to celebrate those high highs with you, hell yeah. Shoot us a message.
Absolutely.
Comment on a post or a reel or a YouTube video.
Yeah, for sure. And if you guys want to see more videos like this of us talking about our mental illness or diving a little bit deeper into our stories, especially, with our past relationships or, mental health in general, feel free to comment on what you guys want to see. And we'd be happy to share more in detail stories with you, because Lord knows we got a lot of stories.
We got a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
So, again, find us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, subscribe on YouTube, and just keep the love flowing. And we'll see you guys next week for episode 3.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right.
Bye,
Adios,
bitches.
muchachos.
Bye.